Why is Thomas the Tank Engine is the main character of the whole show? In case if you guys do not know what I'm talking about, there's been a lot of YouTubers out there keep on saying that Thomas is not the first engine that was published in the books. Even though they are right, there are many reasons of why he is the main character of the whole story. To make this more sensible, we had to go back in time in 1945, around the time where that Christopher Audrey was a little baby. True, true, Thomas is not the first engine that was published in the books. Edward was. But look at the great and the good that just came out of Thomas being in every single episode, from the best to the worst. Now, like this for instance, like Thomas for example, Thomas's Frosty Friends. Just imagine if one of the most popular engine, like Henry for example, or Oliver, just imagine if engines like Henry or Oliver was talking to a balloon thinking that it's real. Oh god, that'll be terrifying. Now, number two for instance, Christopher basically said this in his Thomas 70th year special. He said that he was the one that created Thomas, and we all basically said it on our own videos. So, Thomas was made in 1946, and Christopher wanted to be like his dad. And so Wibber said, okay, Christopher, you gotta make up your own character and your own stories, and then I'll publish the books for you. And so that's exactly what Christopher did. Thomas was an LNER G50, and he had his own stories. But then Wilbur Arter decided to make him into an E2 class to make him more reasonable of why should Gore to bully Thomas that much. So, now I believe some of you guys are wondering, okay, so we get it, Christopher Arter was the one of who made Thomas, so why is that important? Well, 3 times throughout the years before when the television series began, Thomas was the main character of his own stories. From Thomas the Tank Engine to Tank Engine Thomas again, and more about and useful engines. Really useful engines, that's what it was. Christopher Audrey began in 1930. Christopher Audrey began of his stories in 1983. Whenever that Wilbur canceled his series in 1972, Christopher stepped in and took over his series by making Thomas the main character. And you want to know why? If you create your own character, would you want him to be the main character of your own show? Even though that Wilbur was not the one who made Thomas, Christopher was who that created the series, at least. So one day, now I believe some of you guys are thinking, okay, we get it. Christopher was the one who made Thomas. But that does not make any sense of why he's the main character. Well, that is true, but remember what was the original show of Thomas the Tank Engine? The original show used to have been called Shining Time Station. So basically Thomas wasn't the main character. In fact, he not yet had his own show. He was only published in that show. Just only talk about the stories. Until in the 1990s, that was where they started making their own channel. But over those years, Christopher started making his own series of Thomas. He started making his own books. He started making his own adventures about Thomas. Because you want to know why? Because I said it once, and I'm going to say it again. He was the one who made Thomas. And it soon came down to a point where that Thomas is the main character of the whole series. And that, everybody, is the reason why is Thomas the Tank Engine the main character of his own show. Now, I believe there's going to be people out there that's going to be like the Unlucky Toe, for example, or William Neal. If you guys are watching this, I know exactly what you guys are going to say. Well, it ain't that Thomas is the main character that's the problem. It's just only at the problem of why is he so in so many episodes. Like the 3 railway engines, for example. Well, okay, not really the 3 railway engines. Like the minimum gauge engines, for example. Tit for Tad, Mike's Whistle, and Really Useful Railway. Well, that is a good point, but it's just a... But remember, Thomas is the main character of his own show now, so I might as well go ahead and get used to it. And besides, it wasn't really all that bad when that Thomas was in every single episode. I mean, yeah, that is too much, but come on, it ain't that bad.